Hello, everybody. Welcome. We'll just wait another 2 minutes for everybody to join, and then we'll get started. Thank you. Right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another session of TotalCAD's workshop. And I'm Willem Viviers. I am TotalCAD Solution Center's inland representative, and I will be presenting today's workshop on Archicad 29's some key features, which we will have a look at. Right, let's have a look at the agenda quickly. So the key features that we will be looking at for Archicad 29 would be related to productivity and documentation. We will also have a look at some CI tools improvements, and we'll have a chance for some Q&A if we have some time. Right, so let's get started. First, we will look at some productivity improvements. So the very first would be the AI assistant, which this introduction of Graphisoft's AI assistant in Archicad 29 marks a step forward in responsibility, integrating AI technologies into the design workflow, which also gives users a smarter and a more intuitive way which we could interact with the building models. So while still in the experimental phase, this version already offers some helpful capabilities to support design decisions and simplify routine tasks and a lot more. So the AI assistant in Archicad would be at the bottom right corner, and you can, it might not be there, and you are able to get it under the help. You can also switch the AI assistant on and off from the help menu. But you'll note here at the bottom right corner, you've got a little button, which is the AI assistant. Let me just close it again. So the AI assistant can be used for different things. For example, you could ask it anything about Archicad. So getting answers on how you would use Archicad. It's trained on the official user guide and support Archicad articles and courses, as well as the design principles and best practices. So it's ideal for new users getting around Archicad, where you would find certain things. So onboarding would be a whole lot easier using this AI assistant. So any Archicad related questions could be used with the AI assistant. So it currently references UK building codes. Those are the only ones available at this stage, but they are going to incorporate a whole lot more regions in future. So the capabilities and the supported regions will expand with some future updates. So I think this will also obviously make a big difference in how we do things with the AI assistant. Having access to a database of building codes and regulations, you can start creating and designing a whole different way with quick references in terms of all building codes, regulations, and so forth. Right. So let's have a look at one example. So imagine you're just getting started on Archicad, and you could use the AI assistant to help with the onboarding by asking questions about product knowledge. So let's have a look at how this would work. So before we do, you could either shrink it so that's a little bit smaller at the bottom, or you could expand it like you see here. I'll keep it like that for a minute. So also there is an idea of what you could use the AI assistant for. So let's do something like, how can I create a topo surface? So Archicad would know that you're actually referring to a mesh. And as you can see, it's busy giving you all sorts of information related to your question. With references, as you can see, taking me to web pages which has got links to. So you could go and read up even more about what it refers back in the AI assistant. Very helpful. At the top, I could just say new chat, and it's back to where it was. Right, another use. So as you could see, by giving back information, it's got the web search functionality, which makes it a whole lot easier and referencing additional content and information related to Graphisoft websites. The assistant will search a limited list of websites, though, for information. So be aware that it may sometimes rely heavily on a single source for its answers, which could affect the completeness of the response. So please always verify the sensitive information. The third use for the AI assistant is using it as your find and select or a filtering tool within your BIM model or elements. So we refer to that as a BIM query. So we could filter and select elements. It works on the floor plan, section, and 3D. And you can even relate or reference Archicad properties in terms of that. So now let's have another example, or look at an example of how we would want to do this. So if I go here, let's ask a question. Let's say, select walls. Right, with position exterior. There you go. As you can see, it now have selected all the external walls, and it's because they have been defined as external walls under the classification. As you can see, the position says exterior, and that is how it's filtered and selected those particular elements, in this case, the walls. So it would only obviously select within the current view, and not all other views, of course. Close it. So when you're using the AI assistant specifically for BIM query, you do need to be specific and precise in terms of, for example, the layers names. You need to type the exact name of the layer if you're using that as a reference. You need to always specify the units, millimeters, centimeters, whichever that you are working in, and also the exact tool names. So you need to define curtain walls or walls, windows, doors, etc. Specific tool names. As well as you need to handle the naming carefully. So when you use the and or would make a difference in terms of the logic that it applies, as well as you need to use the correct attributes. So for example, calling up surfaces, you need to be typing out the exact name. That is at this stage a requirement. So you do need to be specific for the AI to be effective and work as you'd like it to work. So when you guys use this, I'd like to propose, please give us some feedback. So the thumbs up and thumbs down that you get there after it's given you some info, that would help improving the AI assistant in future. And we really would appreciate any feedback to work on future releases to get it working more effectively. As it's still in the beginning or testing phase, or beta phase as they call it, it will just help with development. All right, let's have a look at the next productivity feature. So we are able to quickly rotate elements, even though it seems like a very small thing. It does make a bit of a difference, where before we had a couple of clicks in order to rotate something. We now have a shortcut to rotate elements, which makes it a whole lot easier in any view. So let's have a look at some examples. So by selecting this chair, by using the shortcut Control R, you'll see it rotates around the center axis of that object. When you use Shift Control R, it would go clockwise. Just Control R would be anti-clockwise, rotating at 90-degree increments. Let's have a look at another example. So let's take this office room, and we just want to flip it around that the desks and everything sits on this side, and I can very easily select them. Wonder if the door will work anyway. And by using the shortcut, you'll see there it's rotated. I'm going to undo that. Try the door. Yeah, the door didn't work. But after you've done that adjustment, you could obviously move the door as needed. Okay. So the rotate function works in all views, especially I think it could be even more helpful in the 3D view, as opposed to a 2D plan or section view. So as an example, by using the shortcut, I can very quickly and easily rotate certain elements in the 3D view, making a whole lot quicker than having to use the traditional way that you would rotate elements from the center. It just makes things a little bit easier by using the shortcut. Control R, Control Shift R, depending on which direction. Right, so the next thing we're going to have a look at is 3D resolution, control, and the origin display. So the high quality visualizations are essential for presenting your designs to clients or whoever that you need to output the information to. So let's look at how we could now take the precise control over the resolution and have a more sharp and professional presentation. So if we have a look at this view on the left-hand side, it's exactly the same view. And when I zoom in, as you could see, traditionally, this is what we found using 3D views on a layout. It wasn't as crisp as we wanted it. There were other ways of resizing your 3D view and all sorts of, I would say, workarounds in order to get a better result, but it wasn't as effective as we wanted it to be. So if I go into this one settings before we look at the one on the right, so when you save a view under the 3D only settings, you'll note that you have additional settings in here, which allows us to have a higher DPI drawing or 3D view, where before we never had this control. And this just makes it a whole lot easier if I then look at the image on the right-hand side, which is definitely a lot more crisp and clear compared to the one on the left. And by just having a look at the settings that was used here, we get a much better crisp presentation of our 3D view. So just comparing the two again, you'll note that the resolution is much better than it used to be. All right. Next, we're going to look at creating openings. So as you could see here, we would want this wall to follow the same slope as the stair going down. Now, previously, it wouldn't be difficult, I would say, but it's a lot easier now to do that in Archicad 29, as we are able to now create openings from a section or an elevational view. So if I select my opening tool, I specify that I want a hole infinite, and sorry. Try that again. Move it obviously with a certain amount. I'll just do it by eye. And now I'm able to say I want an opening infinite, which I would like, sorry. Here we go. A polygon shape, and that shape needs to be cut out over here. And the same, I might want to do the same here, but maybe for recessed lighting that I might want to put in to the wall here. So instead of putting an infinite hole, I'd like to have just a recess. Obviously the depth I can specify. And easily I'm able to place a couple of recesses, which is for my recessed lighting. Let's have a look at that in 3D. Much easier to create openings in a section or elevational view, being more efficient and saving some time. Let's have a look at the next. So personally, this is a very nice feature. I'm quite sure a lot of you would be able to relate. Now, we always create views and projects, and often not keeping things organized, it could become really messy very quickly, especially if we use the right click and save view place on loud command, which I'm quite convinced a lot of you guys would be using. And as you know, at the end, at the bottom of your view list, it just keeps populating all those views, and eventually you wouldn't know which view is which view and even which views are being used. So you'll end up with a lot of views that's not even used in your project. So since Archicad 29, we now have an option or a way that we could do this. This list that we see here is just a view list. It gives you the ID, the name, scale, and what layer combination attached to that drawing, which is what we could have done until now. However, additionally, if I go into the index settings, I go and add fields, I'd like to add if it's included into a publisher set and if it's been placed on a layout. Obviously move them into a certain place, whichever, I'll just move them up a bit. I'll say okay. Quickly and easily, you'll be able to identify which views have being included in a publisher set, and whether it's being placed on a layout. So I think this is already great, but we could take it even another step further. If I go back into the settings, I can go and add another criteria here where you'll see under layouting, including to publisher set, placed on layout. I'll add those two. So if it's included as false, and if it's placed on layout false, then they should be listed. And there I've got a clear list of which views have or have not been used. Now, further to that, if I select a view, note, we do have the same options, select and open views. So if I use that, you'll note that it opens the view for me, and it shows here in your view map the view associated to that list. Or sorry. Or if I select one, I also have this option over here saying selected in the navigator without opening it. So you could open and select it in the navigator, or only just selecting it in the navigator. And if it's something that you might not want to use again, we can just delete it. And that's how you could very easily and quickly clean up unwanted views in your project. Next thing we're going to have a look at would be library and content improvements. So we wouldn't go through all of them, but if we look at this object as an example, so we've got a certain type of tree, and from there we have different options in types. And as you can see, this is what we never had before, and it's quite extensive in what we'd like to use. This makes a big difference on creating nice elevations or sections where would like to populate it with some vegetation. Previously, we didn't really have as much options and settings available. And as you could see, that would make a big difference in how we could present the project on an elevational view as well as sectional views. Let's now also look at some additional productivity improvements. So the latest Archicad release introduces various productivity improvements, which is designed to make your workflow smoother and more flexible and more enjoyable, I suppose. So from smarter kitchen cabinet tools, as well as some enhanced 3D visualization options, to fully integrate dark mode only on Mac operating system at this stage, which are updates I think help you to work more efficiently and customize your experience and making it more enjoyable. Let's take a closer look at some of these. So kitchen cabinets have also been improved. By going to these settings, you will note they have a whole lot more options and settings available, making it a whole lot more flexible than what it was before. So for example, the footing, we can say whether I do or do not want a footing, the shape of the footing, and even the positioning of the footing. You can go and specify that in more detail and a lot more flexible than what it used to be before. Next, we're going to have a look at the physically based rendering contours in Archicad 29, which is an experimental feature included in a few versions ago. and the contour support, which shows contours with physically based rendering active by adjusting your 3D style. How do we do that? Let's have a look. So here we've got a physically based rendering 3D view. Well, sorry, not yet. So if I go and activate that by going to Options, Work Environment, under More Options, you'll note there's Enable Physically Based Rendering in 3D. And this will override the default renderer in your physical based, and it uses a more accurate mathematical light surface integration. So if I say OK, as you can see there, I've got a much better environment or a view calculating sun position and the effect that it produces. Now, I'm also able, while that's on, obviously, I can go to my 3D styles and make some changes. So that one here at the moment does not show any contours, but I could have that on with contours. Contours is a bit heavy, I suppose. It's just because of the pen set applied. I could always revise that, but I've got a 3D model with sun shadows, and also it doesn't really slow down my computer, which I think is great. Right, so I'm going to switch that back off again, as I do not want that on all the time. Okay. Now we're going to start looking at documentation improvements in Archicad 29. Scheduling has been improved in Archicad quite drastically, and even taken a step further in Archicad 29. So, for example, you'll note at the top here, we now have an additional button, which is the field settings, and I'm able to specify a different color for the selected field. Let's maybe make that, I don't know, blue. As you could see, I could obviously also change that one to gray. And even in the settings, I can tell it that it should use the parent headers color, for example. And as you could see there, it knows that it's part of the zone info, which I turned blue, and it knows that it should also have the same there. Then another improvement on the schedules would be, you'll note that when you click on a empty cell, you've got a new button which will allow you to specify different settings. So as you could see, you could also specify the background color if you like, but we could also tell it to hide 0 results, any values, totals, and grand totals. And we can say show it as not 3 dots, as you could see there. I want to change that to be not applicable, apply to all fields. As you could see there, instead of having the 3 dash, which has historically always been there because that doesn't relate to certain information, it can just be changed rather to a not applicable instead. Also, empty cell content can be changed to custom text. So let's say a total and a grand total. As you could see, there we've got a total and a grand total, which something we have not been able to do before. Those were fixed, we couldn't change them, and we often had to resort to workarounds when on the layout we'd go put text in here just to get that effect. And I'm quite happy to see that we are able to specify totals and grand totals and have more flexibility around what the schedule would look like and formatting our schedule. All right, let's look at the next documentation improvement. So we are able to set different arrowheads on a line in Archicad 29. So if I use this one as an example, it's a starting point symbol and an end point symbol. If you can have a look at the top here, as before, I could have different beginning and end point symbols. I could obviously also swap them around very quickly. But if I click on the arrowhead attributes, it would allow me to have different sizes and even different colors depending on the start or the end, which gives us some flexibility in terms of how we'd like to indicate certain arrows. So just an example of where or how we would use this, there is a flow diagram or maybe even a escape plan, but very easily we'd be able to identify and specify, let's say, a flow diagram or a maximum distance on fire plans and that sort of thing that we might need to indicate. So it makes it a whole lot easier and gives us control in how we would like to identify or indicate this information. All right, then we're going to have a look at the next one, which is the renovation status is now available on markers. So for example, if we have a look at this, which is the existing plan, we have an area here and an area here with interior elevations. So they make sense because we've got internal elevations for this room and another internal elevation for this room, but those are for the existing condition of this building. When we go to the plan status, obviously, as you could see, that space is not divided into two anymore. It's now open to one big space. But these internal elevations obviously do not work anymore. And historically, we had to go and create layers in order to control this information not being shown, which was, again, a workaround and not ideal. So if I had to now open my palette and go to my renovation, we are now able to specify this to be demolished, which now the existing plan shows as it should. We have internal elevation markers. Plan status does not show those markers anymore because they are part of demolished. And if I just show you the demolition plan, there you go. The markers are also now part of the demolition plan. And the same goes for any other drawing. So as you could see, showing all of them on, you will be able to see the demolished and new information, for example, and clearly indicate the yellow things would be demolished and red would be the new stuff. So controlling renovation statuses on markers, which would be interior elevation markers, section and elevations, worksheet markers, any marker that you might need to use can now be assigned to a renovation status. Again, something very small that makes your life a little bit easier instead of having to have workarounds with layers. And I know layers aren't the only way of going about it, but again, there's a dedicated tool that streamlines your workflow when working with renovation projects. Right, so something else that I'd like to quickly show is we can easily replace PDF pages compared to previous Archicad versions. So if we take this one, for example, it's one page of a PDF document, and I might want to change or use something different. So if I had select this drawing, which is a PDF drawing I've imported, I can now use the replace page option, a new function, and I can quickly say, hold on, I actually wanted that page. And there we go. Previously, we couldn't replace it. We had to take it out and replace it with the correct page in position, where now we can just replace it instead of doing it over again. Just want to show you, there's another example. So if I had a manufacturer's detail on my layout, creating that part of my documentation, I could maybe require another drawing in here. So I might just drag a copy of this one, and I could now say replace this page. Okay, because the link of this drawing was broken, I need to now go and relocate the drawing. I'm not going to do that one, but let me maybe show that to you on this view. So if this was a layout, I could drag a copy of that one here and replace this page with this one. So this workflow works a whole lot quicker than the traditional getting rid of it, bringing it in again, choosing the correct page, because you need to search for that same document every time. So once it knows from which document it comes, it will easily be able to replace the page, as opposed to this example where it doesn't know where this original drawing is, and that's why I'm getting this error. Now I can relocate the drawing and then it will work. I'm not going to do that for this exercise. I'm just going to cancel it. Right. That brings us to the end of looking at key features on Archicad 29. Last thing I want to do quickly before we go over to the CI tools. So I'd like to just, in case you're not aware, I'd like to mention that TotalCAD Solution Center, we have added some products to our suite of products, which obviously, as you know, Archicad has been there, but we also now have D5 render. So for you guys that do renders using either Twinmotion, Lumion, or even Inkscape, D5 render is at the same level as those other softwares used. And I would highly recommend having a look at D5 render myself. Been using Twinmotion for extensive time, and there's a lot of different reasons why I would recommend having a look at D5 render. If you compare the cost to any of those other rendering softwares, it's cheaper. It's much quicker to do renders by far. It's a lot more stable than the one I've been working on, Twinmotion, and the library is extensive. It's got 14,000 libraries included to D5 render, and I think last thing I could mention is they are the first to create a teamwork rendering package. So as you guys might be aware, Archicad being able to do teamwork, more than one person working on the same file, D5 render have the same functionality, which I think is great. So you could have more than one person working on the same presentation file, creating renders, videos, etc. So you could streamline and get that out much quicker. You know how it goes with deadlines getting closer, and yeah, I suppose if we can quickly get a couple of people to jump onto the one project, it could make a big difference. And of course, CI Tools, which we are also the local distributor for, which really just boosts Archicad workflow. And those are add-ons assisting with repetitive tasks. At the end, it saves you time and money. So I would also highly recommend having a look at these tools. If you are not using them yet, please let us know if you are looking to find out more about these tools. We will be happy to discuss it further and even arrange a demonstration or even trial versions of D5 Render CI tools if you would be interested. And then just quickly, last thing before I hand over to Thomas at CI or Central Innovation, I'd just like to make you aware again that there is an Archicad 29 upgrade training available on Graphisoft Learn portal. You can register for this for free of charge until the 15th of November. It was originally until the 31st of October, tomorrow, and they've extended that until the 15th of November. Please go and register, and you've got free access for a year to your Archicad 29 upgrade training, which covers pretty much some of the things that we've been covering, but there's some other things that you might be able to have a look at. Right. Thank you, guys. That's it for me. From me, I would like to now hand over to Thomas from Central Innovation, and he's just going to share some new features or new improvements on the CI tools.
Thanks, Willem. Yeah, some cool stuff in 29. I'm just going to share my screen. Just confirm for me that you can see it.
Right.
Thank you. For those of you that attended some of the webinars last year, I think, or yeah, must have been last year, Willem, we introduced the fit out tool in 28. Which allows you, or did allow you at the time, to place any of these room typologies, and it would intuitively try and find the best fit for that at the time. That was the stepping stone to where we are today. So what I'd like to show you quickly is we have made quite a bit of fine-tuning on the way that it works and the amount that it allows you to do. So I'm quickly going to show you something very boring, and this is exactly why the fit out tool can help you. Is if we quickly look at this in 3D. I don't know if anyone here is maybe in the education space. Typical classroom that now we need to populate with furniture. So the way the new fit out tool, the revised fit out tool works is you have the option to define what we call a clearance. And a clearance basically allows you to choose what type of space you'd like to occupy. So is it against the wall? Is it against the floor? Freestanding, in a corner? And then we'll just quickly talk at the end about door circulation and window treatments. But you defining the space that you would like this object to occupy. Then you can place any object into that clearance space. And I'm just going to show you. So we've got a nice blackboard over here that we're going to use for this classroom. And at the same time, we've got a desk and a chair that I've placed in a freestanding clearance space that we're now going to use. Now, what you do is you basically select that, you go to the CI Tools fit out, you save it as a set. And once you've got the sets, you place the sets. I'm just going to show you without that. I'm going to model the options here. So what it's showing you there is basically the component bounds are shown in 2D. So there we've got a set. So these two objects and those three objects have now become a set. I select these and I save them as a fit out. And I say save it as a fit out, and I've called it a classroom. So now once I've done that, I go and I look, okay, I quickly want to populate 4 classrooms. Let's see how quick I can do it. I'm going to pull up the fit out. I'm going to say classroom. It does offer me the option to place more than one of these items at this point in time. I'm not going to do that because I want to show you something cool. So I'm just going to click OK. Please note it is cursor sensitive, so it will try and respect where you are clicking in the zone to place the objects. So now it's quickly running, and we can see that it's also realized that there are windows and doors inside here that I need to respect, and I'm populating. Now you guys are going to say to me, but this is terrible classroom layout. How are you going to just accommodate one student? I mean, it's stupid. We've also introduced a new functionality in the clearance. So you can take that and you can say, I want to add in that direction. I want to add in that direction. Let's see how many we can fit in. Fantastic. They're all fitting in nicely with their clearance areas. And we've got a full classroom. Oh, wait, they're a little bit close together. Maybe I can space them a little bit further apart. In the vertical, in the horizontal, they're all facing the teacher. Maybe that population is a little bit dense, but I can take the properties of this and I can inject it into the others. And now, in a complete strange turn of events, the client tells us, you know what, I can actually afford a better chair. So we go to our clearance and furniture layout, and we go and we say, you know what, actually I can get another chair that's a little bit more expensive, and we're going to pick something that looks like that, chair 10, and I click OK. It will change to that. I'm going to go back to plan view. Now I'm going to show you how the real magic works. Is we're going to save that set over that set. So we're going to say fit out. Please just replace that set. Save that as a set, and I'm going to use the school desk and chair. Save. Do you want to replace it? Yes, I would like to replace it. And do I want to place a set now? No, I don't want to place a set now. And I don't know if you can see, but instantly the entire project updated. I'm just going to switch off the zones for us here so we can see what's going on. Where's my zone? Here we go. Switch off the zone. And there we go. We've replaced it with that chair through the entire project. I think you guys can see the immense power this gives you. Is you could change anything and everything in a project. And do not fear, those boxes that you see here are just model view options that we have control over. Model view options, and we're just going to say, you know what, I don't actually want to see the clearance areas anymore. And you can set that up for different model view options, and there is your classroom populated. And you can change the objects, change everything. I just quickly want to show you guys what this looks like in a residential um, setting. Wait, hang on. Oh, I just do this. Okay, so I've set up bedrooms, beds, bathrooms. I've saved my fit outs. I've got a repetitive one that I need to populate a whole hotel. I quickly go and select, and I go, okay, quickly give me the main bedroom, or just the bedroom. It's going to also be cursor sensitive. So if I click here, it should place the bed. I just want to show you also that you can set priorities for the items. So there's custom priorities. So you can actually tell it that the cabinet has got a lower priority than the door clearance and the bed has the highest. So then it will try and based on your cursor click, place the items in that order and find space for them in the room. I'm going to click here. And there we go. It's placed door clearances where it found doors. I'm going to do the same here. Oh, that went between the zones. I'm sorry. Just go here. Should work fine. And there we go. Oopsie, sorry. Finding the best placement in the zone. And I'm just going to use this last one as an example. I'm not going to like where it puts the cabinet, so I'm going to go, okay, you, Mr. Cabinet, just note all these items are grouped automatically, so you can delete them quickly. I'm going to drag the cabinet to the wall where I want it, and it will orient itself and say, you know what, I actually need to be against the wall. And that does it automatically. I can do the same then and say, where's my small bathroom? Okay, small bathroom. I want to click where the shower is because that's got the highest priority at this stage. That should work fine. And I'm going to do a main bathroom, which I'm hoping the bath will end up where I click because it's got the highest priority. Don't like that layout. Let me try again. There we go. That's a nice enough layout. We might want to swap the bathroom and the um, basins. Let me just show you how that works. So if I wanted to, it's now placed in that zone and they intuitively know that they're going to stay here. So I'm going to say, Mr. Basins, can you please move over there? And voila, pops over. I'm hoping that makes you guys a little bit interested in the tool. We are working at, um, getting it even better. But any objects in Archicad, CI tools, or other objects can be used in any kind of setting. If there is a zone with windows and doors, it will intuitively try and negotiate that space and try and find a solution that works. I think I will just lastly mention that we are currently working on some magic for the annotate tool. I don't know if anyone knows about the annotate tool. It used to be able to change uppercase to lowercase to sentence case to title case in your entire drawing, your entire project. With certain criteria. We are currently expanding that. And if you've ever gotten a drawing from an engineer that you didn't like the line types, the pens, the fills, watch this space. There's something coming down the pike that might be exciting for you as well, where you very quickly have control over any kind of pen, lines, fills in a Archicad project at a global level. That's all I'm going to say at this stage. Any questions?
Right, Paul Elliott, I'm going to unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hi guys, Willem and Thomas, thanks so much for the presentation. Very informative, thank you. A quick question I have for Thomas. Thomas, those little grouped furniture layouts that you created, I see you had them on a side of a floor plan. Would they live there permanently, or would we put them on a separate kind of level so that we could keep like a full library of our combinations?
You could do that. I hope you can see my screen again. The only
Yes.
reason why I did this is that I wanted to still potentially exercise control over what they do. So you can delete all of this and all your fit outs and sets will lie in wherever in the library you put them, and that opens up a nice next thing that I forgot to mention. You can transfer these library parts between projects. So in other words, if you've created the bedroom once, you can put it into other projects as well. But I just kept them for the moment just so that you can see. I'm going to take this one and come on, and let's just switch grouping on. So I can take this, and you can actually take this and convert it back to its components. So you don't have to keep them. So you can take it out and say, you know what, please just go and convert to components. And this will convert back into a clearance area and a bed and bedside tables, and you can start manipulating again, change the bedside tables to something else, save the set over itself. It will populate all through the project again. So you've got a one-stop shop. And once you've saved the set, you just go and you delete this. And so you just I just kept them off to the side because I wanted to sort of have control over where they are. And also,
Okay.
it shows nicely the flow that you go from a clearance area with a component in it that you save as a set. Now it's become a bath set. And after you've got the bath set, you, for instance, select all of that and you go, CI tools, please save that for me as a fit out. So you could keep it on a hidden layer, I guess, or something like that. And then you can save it as a set again. But any set that you've got, you can explode again, reassemble, save it again, transport them between projects. So you technically have to do if you know that you're going to do a repetitive bathroom layout like this, in most of the projects that you do that once, you save the library part, and there you go. And you can transport it.
Great, thank you.
Cool.
Are you on mute, Willem?
Sorry, Francois, I did unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hello, guys.
Francois.
I posted a question in the Q&A. So when you were showing the AI assistant finding your unused views, then you can delete those, you said. But does it, when a view is obviously unused, not on a layout, but that view is in a cloned folder, usually if you delete the view, Archicad tells you, do you want to delete the whole clone folder, which may have used views in them? How is Archicad dealing with that scenario when it finds unused views in the clone folder and you have the option to delete them? Because your independent views that you save that is not in clone folder can easily be deleted if they're not used and no impact.
Yes, that's a good point, Francois. So yes, if you could delete one component of a cloned view, it will remove the whole folder that had been cloned. So I think you do need to pay special attention to that, because I think instead of cleaning up things, you could delete a whole lot more things that what you want to. So I think I'm going to have to do a test on that one, Francois. I haven't tested that yet. It's a very good point you've made. So I think you can, it's possible that you might end up with a lot of unsaved views or unused views by cloning them. So often you'd like to clone a folder, so that whatever stories you add, or whether any sections you add or details, whatever we're talking about, it will automatically add those views in. But at the same time, it means if there are any unused views, so you might have variations of, let's say, a plan where, let's say, the roof level created to generate a roof plan, you may not need a roof plan under electrical plans, for example. So I do get what you're saying. I think we need to be careful of which views we do delete. I think being able to identify which views, and if they are part of a clone, you may not want to delete those. But I think it's very handy for when those are views not part of a clone, because when they're part of a clone, there's a reason why we cloned the folder, because we wanted to automatically populate, as we do in the project map, creating new views or deleting views. It will automatically do that in your view map. But I think this is, I would say deleting views would more be related to the right click, save view, place on layout, or even when you've placed the layout the right way, you've saved it in your view, not as a cloned folder, but as a view on its own. And eventually you might end up with a lot of views not being used, which is not part of a clone folder. So I would imagine that's really where this would be effective, definitely not in the clone folders.
Does the interface show you on those found views whether they are in clone folders or not?
That's a good question. Maybe we can do a quick test. So let me do this. Open my organizer. actually, I don't even need to do that. So if I go into my view map and I say clone a folder, take stories.
Yeah, all those views would be unused. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So now let's have a look. If I open this, this one. I'm going to close it and open it again. It doesn't seem like they're even getting listed.
Well, there was a refresh on that one.
It looks like it, eh?
Yeah. The schedule's picking up some change, but it's not showing.
But it's not indicating those which have definitely not been used. Let me try something else. If I had to go into 3D and just save this view. I just want to see if it's updating.
Yeah, that's the non-cloned one. Yeah.
That's quite weird.
What that's asking for is scheduling views that is
Oh, yeah.
on layouts in the criteria. Is what so is not. Oh, it's false. Is
So
false.
if it's false,
Okay.
it should list it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So anything that's included in a published set and not used,
Uh,
if it's false, and if it's the place on layout is false, then it should be listed.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like the thing is not updating as I expected it to.
So you're getting the same result that I did. And when I was asking
Yeah.
the question, I thought I was doing something stupid.
I'm quite sure that there's something I'm missing. Let me have a look on that one. It's a really good question. So even if I regenerate those, they don't make a difference.
Will you let us know?
Yes, yes. Let me have a look at that,
Thank you.
and then I will get back to you. Let me just make a note here.
Didn't pick that up in the beta and technology preview.
Check here. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
That's something for me to go and check out. It's quite interesting, I must say. But I'll get back to you. Thank you, Francois.
Great.
Right. Is there any other questions? Anybody else have a question? I see we've gone about 10 minutes over the time. So if there are any other questions that any of you might think of afterwards, feel free to reach out to us and we'll assist. But I really hope that this has been exciting and also eager to get started on Archicad 29. Go check out the training, it's really useful. And also, please, if you guys want to know any more about the other solutions we have, D5 or CI tools, we'll be happy to give you more information and demos or trial versions if you like. But thank you for joining us. We look forward to the next workshop, which will be in November, and that will be the last one for this year. And we'll only have workshops going on from 2026 January forward. So stay tuned and looking forward to seeing you at the next workshop next month. Thank you, everybody. Take care.